Assalamualaikum and good evening. My name is Hakim bin Norhishamuddin, student ID 2022885696, and Muhammad Adam bin Abdullah Zawawi, student ID 2022886772. Today, we will be talking and discussing on how we solve a problem that we received under the course probability and mathematical statistic 2. So this is the question and table that we received for our assessment. So let's continue. For question 1, we were asked to estimate the mean of a population and construct alpha 1 minus alpha percent confidence interval for this population parameter. So, the way that we solve this question is by using t distribution, as there is less than 30 sample given. After we derive the t distribution, we will use the test score data that is given and put it in a calculator to find mean, standard deviation of the sample given, and also the x bar. By using the value that we find, we will use it to find the upper boundary and lower boundary. So we can interpret that this means that the student result range in between 68 and 80 for the whole population based on the sample given in the school. So let us continue to question 2. For question 2, it asks us to estimate the mean of two population and construct alpha 1 minus alpha percent confidence interval for the mean difference of two population. Hence, we use t distribution also, as the sample mean is less than 30. So, after we derive the t distribution, we will be using test score data and separating population by class, which is class A and class B, and put the data given into a calculator to find our mean, standard deviation of the sample given, and also the x bar. By using that, we will find our upper boundary and lower boundary. So based on the result given, we can interpret that this means that the difference in student mean result for population of class A and class B range in between negative 10.9819 and 23.7919 based on the sample given in the school. We can also discuss about our interval, which is the interval of the sample mean goes through 0. So this means that the mean of the population of class B, class A and class B in the school has no big difference.
So as we move on into question number 3, it wants us to estimate the variance of a population and construct a 1 minus alpha percent confidence interval for these population parameters. So since we are trying to find variance, we will use the y distribution and we will get a chi-squared distribution with a degree of freedom of n minus 1. So after simplifying the equation, the interval will look like what is shown there. So after that, what we need to find is the value of variance for the sample, and also from our statistical table, we need to find the chi-squared distribution at alpha over 2 and 1 minus alpha over 2. So after we have found all of those values, we can substitute it into the previous equation, and finding the upper boundary and lower boundary, we will obtain that the lower boundary is equal to 11.6901 and the upper boundary is 67.1505. Then what we can interpret from the interval is that the variance of the students' study hours range in between 11.6901 and 67.1505 with a 95% confidence interval for the whole school population based on the sample given. So last but not least, we'll move on into question number 4. It wants us to estimate the variance of two populations and construct a 1 minus alpha percent confidence interval for this ratio. So since we are finding ratio of two population, we will be using F distribution to get the value of the ratio. So after the process of transferring all the unnecessary things, we will get this last interval. Then to solve for the ratio, we need the sample standard deviation for female and standard deviation for male, since we are using the data of our study and also separating the population by gender. So after obtaining the value using a calculator, we can get that the upper boundary is 6.9558 and the lower boundary is 0.1361. So the interval lies between 0.1361 and also 6.9558. So, from the interval, we can interpret that the ratio of variance for students hours studied is 95% confident between 0.1361 and 6.9558 for the population of students, male and female, from the sample given. Then, discussing on the interval, since the interval goes near 1, we can assume that male and female population does not differ in terms of variance hours studied. So, that is all from me and my partner Haziq Hakim. I hope you enjoy our presentation and can give us a proper mark. Thank you, madam.